Communities, especially for modern tech companies, I think are the most sustainable growth levers. Um, they create something that paid marketing in algorithms can't manufacture, and that's durable human connection.
Welcome to Connect to Market. I'm Casey Cheshire. Join us as we learn from marketing leaders who are driving founder-led growth. We're sponsored by Ringmaster, building B2B podcasts and communities to reconnect you with your audience. All right, let's go. Okay, this is going to be a good one. I'm excited. I can't wait to do a deep dive on the topic today, and I've been dying to learn more about it. And just my guest today is absolutely amazing. I've had a chance to chat with her before on other podcasts, and so I'm excited to bring her to the Connect to Market community. But who is she? Well, she is a marketing leader and thought leader of thought leaders, a CRM whisperer, multi-channel marketing magician, creative coach, you name it. Some people have described her as the Swiss Army knife of marketing. She even won the Financial Content Marketing Award. Chief Marketing Officer at GigaStar, Sarah McNabb, welcome to the show.
Hi, Casey. Great to be back.
It is great to have you back. I can't wait to just roll up the sleeves and learn from you. I think our last episode together was like years ago. So I'm excited to introduce you to this Connect to Market community. So in order to ask you this first question, I am going to apply the giant blue foam finger. I need to ask you this question. Sarah, what is the one thing that marketers need to do in order to connect to their market?
I think it's so important that community is leveraged as the growth engine for any market.
Hell yeah.
I happen to be in the financial marketing space, financial technology marketing, and we're making creators an investable asset, right, by securitizing YouTube ad revenue. And this means that YouTubers who want to raise funds can offer a portion of their future ad revenue to investors in a revenue share offering. So they will invite their communities to come and participate. And I mean, we have found that community is such an important driver for what we're building, and it can be applied to almost, virtually any market. But, the real rocket fuel for growth is its communities. It's, those connections. And honestly, in a time when AI is on the rise, I think human connections are more important than ever.
So true. Why do you think this gets so overlooked?
I think people are, excuse me, I'm going to say marketers. People don't want to be marketed at anymore. They want to be part of a story. They want to be participants. They don't just want to be talked at. There should be an inclusion of community so that there is dialogue. One of the things that most marketers learn is know your customer. That helps to be a customer too. But you can't improve unless you get feedback from your community, that you get called out by your community sometimes, for things that you might not be doing optimally. They can be activated in the marketing flywheel. And if they feel connected, they don't just participate, they'll advocate. So I think it's more important than ever for marketers to tap into the power of community, whether it's on, if they have a newsletter or through a Discord where there can be two-way conversations taking place, and marketers can go in and surface some of the learnings that can improve a product or improve an experience. I think that is gold, to get feedback from the human community. I don't think there's any other way to really improve other than legitimately connecting with people.
Yeah. I guess, what is the definition of a community? I feel like that's a buzzword that gets just thrown around a lot. I've almost thought of shifting to a round table or just like more specific? Because I think it means so many different things to different people. And some people, I think it means I'm just going to create a Slack group that no one will ever go to, you know?
I have always been brought up to understand that community is more than one person. It could be two people. It can be three. It can be 3,000. I think when there's another human being to bounce ideas off of and to kind of sharpen yourself against, I think that can be a community. A community of two. All Facebook groups start out with one person, two person, and then they grow from there. But yeah, that's how I see it.
Yeah. And it feels like the more like-minded they are, the stronger it could be, potentially.
Y- yes, I think so. But I'm also of the mind of it's a good thing to have um, the different perspectives brought in. I mean, that's why diversity is so important. To have different viewpoints that can be brought to the table to present something in a different light that maybe everybody else who's like-minded hasn't been really thinking about it in that way. Um, I think it's important to have a little bit of challenging minds enter the community. But it's great to have like-minded ones there too. We have found, for example, so we have a Discord community of, oh gosh, at this point, 4,695 people. And we have found that our community will kind of activate each other. And if our team isn't readily available to answer a question, somebody else who's been in there a long time, who's kind of an OG part of the community, will jump in and answer on our behalf, like because they feel like they're part of this, and it's great because it's really helpful when you have something as complex that as what we have as a product, and other people can help provide education around it or break it down into uh, simplest terms so that they can understand. So I think having a community helps cultivate a smarter community, hopefully. I know that's not always the case online, but in our Discord, we have found that um, you know the community is so uplifting and positive, and I think it's really important to have a positive community, and oftentimes those need to be moderated, of course, so it doesn't take the wrong turn. But the ones who are feeling welcome return. They come back.
Hmm.
And I think that's really important to create that kind of sticking power instead of people just passing through. Having a community that is sticky and, people stay.
What would you say are like the core elements of stickiness for a community?
Well, in terms of marketing, I think it's important to have a way to provide some insight for your community that maybe the rest of the world, the rest of the public isn't, it's not necessarily shared with everybody. But like if you're a marketer and you have, let's say, a Discord community that you're cultivating, I think sharing like some of the behind the scenes insights, photos, pictures of what the team's working on so that they feel more of like that they're an insider, right? So when we talk about community, you talk about like a belonging. And sometimes with belonging, you have the privilege of having a little bit of insider insight, something that not everybody else has. And even something as small as that by marketers, asking the community, what their favorite coffee is, or giving them a poll to ask questions, or just asking question, what's everybody doing this weekend? Things that even if, a friend might ask, but really something that humans would ask, like one human asking another. I think it's really important, but I think the magic of cultivating a tight community and a special community that people feel like they're part of, it does require a little bit more of that genuine, you know, here's some behind the scenes. Here's some special things to make you feel special and make you
Yeah.
feel seen.
Yeah. Just they feel seen. And then to your earlier point, they have the opportunity to participate, and it almost gives them like ownership, or they get to feel like they're just that much more a part of it. They're, like, I don't know if it's like the Facebook, you're a top fan kind of thing, but it's like a little bit of recognition could go a long way.
Absolutely. I mean, communities, especially for modern tech companies, I think are the most sustainable growth levers. Um, they create something that paid marketing and algorithms can't manufacture, and that's durable human connection. I mean, technology changes fast, platforms shift, ad costs rise, algos evolve, but communities stay loyal when everything else moves around them. A strong community can do, let's say, three things better than any other growth channel, in my opinion.
Okay.
I think it can build trust, it can build advocacy, and it can build resilience. And when people feel like they're part of something, like I said, they engage longer, they support the product more deeply, and they bring others with them. So, that's exponential. That's not linear.
Yeah, and it really is exponential because you're talking to so many people at one time. I've definitely had people say that, I like and I trust you, and we haven't had all night ragers at Dreamforce. The extent of our relationship has been some really good breakout sessions in the community. But they've gotten to know
Yeah,
me beyond just a LinkedIn profile or something like that, or an email thread.
exactly. And I think it's also helpful for communities to be offered the ability to have maybe, like you had said, like a smaller breakout ability to be in a room where they're not going to get crowded out, that their voice is can be heard. Whether it's some sort of a webinar or a quarterly call or a focus group type of situation, but giving everybody a chance to chime in and to be heard, I think is really, really important in those kind of smaller settings. Maybe not in you know, like it's a 25,000 person Facebook group, but like maybe in a smaller room.
Do you have a favorite type of tech that for groups that you've experienced, like
I
platform?
mean, let's see. So I mean, we do love Discord. Um, we have a Discord community that has different private channels. So there's different rooms within that greater repository of people, so that different conversations can be focused in the different rooms in the different channels. Um, I think that's a really, I think, top platform that we use.
Hmm. I do. I've struggled with Discord. I feel like Discord is like Slack for hackers and gamers. You know?
It did start out as a very gamer heavy, like gamer focus, like that community really kind of um, latched onto Discord early on, and it's kind of held on. But as time has gone on, I think it's been opening up more to different markets and different genres. Um, it can be a little bit for old people like me, can be a little bit frenetic because you're seeing like conversations happen and there's movement on the screen. And so just trying to keep up in that way. But yeah, I mean, Slack. You mentioned Slack, and I think Slack is one of the better. internal community tools, we use it. And I know different hobby groups out there use it to communicate with each other. I think, Slack could be considered like a very pared down version of Discord, but I think it's interesting to see where some of these platforms are going and are kind of, you know, with Instagram messages and um, some of the other platforms that are slipping my mind now that are more encrypted. It's
Mm,
interesting to see the rise of different platforms for different communities in different ways. How they want to be communicated with, and you know you can choose to mute notifications. Like I have my Slack notifications on mute right now, so I can focus on this
oh yeah,
community.
you got to throw a
I,
mute on that thing.
uh,
Otherwise, you're doing anything and the thing is blowing up on you for
oh
sure.
yeah, constantly. So, I think it also is going to depend on the market. Could depend on the generation of user as well, as to what form of community platform they like to take and participate in. Like people like my mom's age who are on Facebook, that's their preferred method. Like
100%. Yeah.
my mom would never think to get on Discord. It would be way too overwhelming. And again, there's a little bit of a learning curve,
Sure.
right? With these new platforms that come out. And what do you think?
Well, I think for one, you should have a fundraiser for charity where you get your mom on Discord. I think that would be awesome. And two, yeah, I was gonna ask you about like least like platforms. I think you know what? I think the sometimes the challenge could be when it's like a new platform. Circle comes to mind, and some of those other ones,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not half bad, but it's like an underbaked Facebook designed for community, and now people have to like add another platform, and they're under the illusion that people are gonna just like have this up and running all the time or on their phone getting alerts. It's like
Yeah.
I already get the alerts or not from I already don't keep up enough on Facebook as it is or Instagram. I mean, I just replied to my brother. I don't know how long I kept him on red. I wasn't my intent, but like there's already so many that we're probably bad at. Um, and so to add another one is just always the challenge. But the existing ones aren't exactly designed for that. But it's like a balance. But yeah, I think those ones that are designed for community just have a real uphill battle. But I've been kind of tickled with Substack lately as like a community binder.
Yeah. You just said something that's pretty interesting too. That comes to mind as far as like how community is treated these days is the unread message or the message that's not replied to right away. With the deluge of platforms and community forums, uh, direct messages, all the threads, Slack, we're overwhelmed. In a lot of ways, people are overwhelmed with incoming messages.
Right.
I guess the question would be in terms of community, has the ethos shifted a little bit where people are given a little bit of grace to respond over, like, you know, not everybody can respond immediately, but like, what is a scenario where a response that comes 3 weeks later is not okay or okay? Um, I think it's in my personal life, I've seen response time to community messages get longer and longer because life gets in the way.
Yeah. I got this app, just to your point about response times. It's like superhuman, but for LinkedIn. It's called Condo. Totally should get this. Um, if I can remember, I'll throw a link in the show notes and
Yeah.
Maybe he'll send me a hat if he sees a bunch of signups thanks to me, but like, yeah, not sponsored yet by the show. But I just, man, he, the creator, he was like, okay, sign up for a demo. I was like, look, dude, I'm not going to wait till Monday for demo. I want this thing now. Let me in. Cause it's like my LinkedIn, it's so hard to get all the DMs. It's like such a tiny little interface. This thing is like everything you could possibly imagine. And so one of the things that I found in there was, oh, look, I have some messages from 2013 that never got responded to. And like, I'm the jerk. I understand this, but like, I'm blaming a little bit on LinkedIn because if that stuff
Sure.
gets hidden in there, man, you are not finding it. So I actually replied to a couple people from back in the day. I am all cut up many, many years ago. And they're like, who are you? No, they didn't say that. But yeah, I was like, hey, look, messages get lost, but I do want to follow up on your note and I appreciate this or thank you for that or, whatever the case may be. But yeah, what is that length of time, Um,
Yeah. And at what point does it become, uh, like to your point, a little bit offensive, like
or
that, like there's got to be a threshold where like somebody's giving you grace to reply back, but then it hits a threshold of like, okay, you're ghosting me. Okay, it's just never going to happen. It's just kind of funny that I've noticed it, the response time's getting longer and longer, but like to your point, they're coming out with tools to help organize inboxes and AI tools to help organize inboxes and
yeah,
responses to help prioritize and hopefully not let any of those communications slip through the cracks because nobody feels good when they get crickets, right?
sure.
Even if it's just an acknowledgement like, yeah, I not interested right now. That's better, I think, for a lot of people than just no response at all.
You know what? And you got me nervous. I'm literally gonna have to slam a Celsius right after this podcast and just go to town on LinkedIn. It reminds me of like Jim Carrey when he was like getting set up to like answer all the prayers in that
Oh
one
yeah,
movie.
he had the coffee.
Yeah, he had the coffee and he's like, "Oh, I'm playing God now," and he just sort of like was typing on the keyboard. He's like, "Look, I've solved everyone's problems." Which spoiler alert didn't work out so well.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Right.
But yeah, like so it's like we're asking for all this engagement. We got to make sure we actually then engage back. Oh, that is so wild.
Yeah, and engaging in a authentic way,
Right,
in a genuine way,
right.
in one that's not, a generic, AI type of response, like your call is important to us type of thing.
Oh my gosh.
Um,
Oh my gosh. Can I share Sears home appliance? You cannot talk to a person. And they just moved
ah,
our thing from today. Like we were sort of waiting and waiting the whole day. It's been moved to Monday, and you're like freaking out. And guess what? You can chat or you can make a phone call. Both are like an LLM, and both are like it, so it's like that. That's sorry. That just what's gonna happen. There's no one to talk to. There's no anything. I'm just like, oh man. I'm just like, oh. So, anyways, Sears Home
that's
Appliance do
rough.
not recommend. I'll let you know if they fix the thing on Monday.
We have had that same type of experience not being able to get to a human being with Comcast.
Oh, I bet.
Um, I think, my husband had been screaming on the phone to try and get to a representative and it wasn't a good customer service experience and it turned us off. They lost a customer
Oh yeah.
because of it, because there wasn't a human available. Um, and I think that's just going to get more and more evident as time goes on and services, they have to have a human element to them. Whether they become automated and, incorporating AI is great, awesome. There's always going to need to be a human element.
It's like that balance, right? It's not one or the other. And I think the sin I've committed a lot of is be so focused on the human connection that I neglect the fact that there's a giant trend and a giant advantage in using and adopting AI. So it's like don't like yes be human, but don't be so stuck in the mud that you're not embracing the efficiency and all that of AI. But also don't go too far in that direction like Sears did and completely forget about the human. hey, your cost went down, but now I'm so pissed. It's a little podcast, but like it's that impression that you're leaving with people.
Hmm.
Like, consider me a 0 on the net promoter score, consider me the lowest you can possibly be from that interaction. And maybe you had to move the thing, but like, had you let me know or communicate it, or let somebody communicate, empathize, be like, oh my gosh, we're so sorry. The repairman got sick. Okay, that happens, but nothing, and don't even think about getting an answer. Like, oh, you've forgotten the human side, but we need that balance.
Yeah, I think you struck on the magic word, which is empathy.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's something that AI can't replicate. I mean, AI can scale content and um, it makes us faster, but community scales trust, and humans make us more meaningful. If you had the experience of connecting with a human on that call, no matter how angry you might have been, they they could have empathized with you, disarmed, uh, you know, your negative feelings and turn it around. But you can't go back. You can't go back to that. I mean, first impressions, right?
Yeah.
And
Here's a free oven mitt. We're so sorry we had to move this thing.
oh,
You know what? I'm like, you know what?
oh yeah,
All right, I'll take it. Yeah. So,
yeah, exactly.
one of the things I was dying to ask you about is you mentioned it was earlier we were talking about the different things that communities can do better than almost anything else, and one of the things in there was resiliency. And I
Hmm.
wonder this conversation about how crappy Sears is, but maybe understanding what resilience can be created from a community.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that comes to mind, one type of community that comes to mind that um, so many people use is Reddit. So, like the Reddit communities, where if somebody is in need of an answer, um, they'll go there and they'll post and they'll get all kinds of responses, but then some of the responses turn into longer conversations. And, I think it helps provide support for the person who's posting the question. They are feeling heard by a community they can't see. But then, there's people who can come in and kind of reinforce that, yeah, you're doing the right thing. Or, you know what, if it doesn't work out, I recommend X, Y, and Z. So I think in that way, I mean, there's a lot of ways that a strong community can build resilience, especially in the face of um, you know, maybe if your community is being disenfranchised or threatened in any way, that resilience can come through the strength that you feel around you and the people that are part of something bigger. They can provide that support, and I think support can reinforce the community itself of just being there.
Yeah.
Keeps it stronger.
Yeah. Yeah. Self-policing, self-healing, self-helping.
Hmm.
Yeah. I don't know if they'll save Sears, but they could certainly save a software vendor that needs just a little bit of help, and maybe their customer support's a little bit behind, just to have some customer advocates saying, oh yeah, no, that happens, but you can get around it by doing this. And it'll work really great for you. Just a little bit of, yeah, a little bit of care
I
there.
think I think brands like Sears, I mean, who've kind of established themselves, cannot lose sight of their customers are human beings.
Right.
And if they don't cultivate a community, which should be like something they tap into as part of, their growth, unless they just don't want to grow, um, community compounds and it,
Yeah.
it can help them. And I don't understand why brands
Yeah. Like, why don't they do it? Right.
wouldn't at least have, like, to your point, the balance of some availability of a human being.
Yeah.
Because things are not always as simple in explanation as, one might think to put into a chat bot. If there's kind of a story to be told and an explanation that needs to be given to another human being who knows what to do with that information. I mean, if you're not given the option to talk to somebody, I'm sure you felt like you were just hung out to dry, or just that they don't care about you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it feels like. I could give a shit about you, so I'm gonna send you
Yep.
to my app. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
Now if the app was helpful, then I would be totally fine with that. Um, well, hey, I want to shift a little bit. Where do you, purveyor of all knowledge, where do you get your knowledge from? Where do you like to learn? Are you reading anything right now? Are you listening to pods? Where do you like to learn from?
Gosh. Yeah, all of the above. Podcasts are a staple in my week. I am usually reading 2 books at the same time. One at night. I have a book that I'm reading at night. And then when I get up in the morning, as part of my morning ritual, I do have a different book that I'm reading. Um, and then I also, we'll try and journal. My news diet is, lunchtime, I'll flip on the TV. Uh, if I get a moment when I'm checking my own social media, I'll, scroll through some of the news sites. But I am also subscribed to industry newsletters. So for my inbox, my work inbox, I get different newsletters that cover topics in the creator economy. So I can try and stay up to date because, technology changes so fast. YouTube changes so fast. There's all kinds of things to keep up with. Um, and of course, just talking with friends. And if there's something that they call out to me, I'll go and check it out. But yeah, I try and diversify where I get my information and how I stay up to date. But yeah, staying on top of things is super important. You can't really make decisions unless you're up to date.
Yeah, like, and you even called out the idea it's different sources from different places so that you don't inadvertently go down the rabbit hole with one source and then they're completely wrong.
Yeah, and you gotta check your sources, right? So I mean, how many times these days have people been tricked with even images that were created by AI? Like
Right.
they think, oh, that place looks great. How can I get there? And someone else in the comments will be like, that was created by AI. It's not real. It's fake. And so it's more important, I think, than ever to not just diversify where you get your information from, but to double check the
Double
sources,
check, yeah.
double check the facts, make sure it's not something that is misinformation, because there's a lot of super spreaders of misinformation out there.
Oh my gosh, there are. For sure.
Yeah.
Um, Only this podcast a couple of times. Mostly not this podcast. Um, well, my next question is like, who are you? Who are you? Can you share for everyone? Like, take us back in time, little Sarah days. Did you know you're going to be leading these kind of conversations and pointing the right direction and really carrying the flag for community?
Gosh, I mean, in every position that I've held, spending 22 years more in financial technology marketing
Yeah.
in the Chicagoland area, um, there's always been the component of, networking,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's networking events, industry conferences, trade shows, in-person sessions, participation in different, um, societies, clubs, associations, and things. That has always been a component of my career, and so it doesn't really surprise me that I'm talking about community now.
Sure.
Um, it I love that I'm talking about it because I think it is so important. It always has been. I mean, people by their very, nature and, you know, are tribal people.
Yeah.
We need each other. Nobody gets to the top alone.
No.
None of the billionaires out there have done this alone.
Right.
There has been the people component to it. There's a community component to it. And I think it's super important to continue cultivating that. Um, I have never been a bridge burner. I never would advocate for that. And I would never tell the next generation that's coming up um, to do things like ghost people, quiet quitting, not showing up. I think it's super important to stay involved and to be a part be part of the community. If not, you know, if you're not in the middle of the community, as long as you're on the side, just, stay involved because people, in the end, I mean, we're all each other. That's what we have,
Yeah.
right?
It's true. It's true. And that it's like brings us all back full circle to community, large and small. The little ones that you create
Yeah.
by meeting someone. Even last night I was in an event and I recognized two people sitting by themselves that didn't know anybody. Cool. Neither do I. And we ended up creating our own little community at that table and invited other people who looked lost in the sauce to come join us. And
Oh, that's so awesome.
they were happy to do that. And we were happy to also have community of people who didn't know anyone else at that event. And that felt right. So I think in the small ways, community can, bring us all together.
And it is those small ways can have very lasting connection and lasting impact. Side, quick side story. Over, gosh, at this point, it must have been 26 years ago. Um, my husband and I went on a cruise,
Hmm.
and we were one of the youngest people on the cruise. And so in the dining room, they put all the young people in their 20s, which was like just a handful of people. They put us all at the same table so that we could
Wow.
chat with each other and be with people our own age, right? And we spent a week dining with these people and talking with them, and we're still Facebook friends with a bunch of the people that were just at that table. It was our little community amidst, differing of ages, and it's just funny because it wasn't something that, was we weren't there for our jobs. We weren't there because, we had to be, we wanted to be, and it just happened to be in this little table of 20 somethings community, and we connected, and we still communicate and know each other to this day. And that's all it took was just that moment in time when there was a gesture of like, oh, hey, I'm Sarah. What's your name? Just opening up a little bit. And I'm sure the people that you invited to sit with you at that table who looked like they were out of place or unsure, we're all unsure. I
Mhm.
mean, let's just put that out there. Every single one of us is unsure, and every single one of us has insecurities. But if somebody shows empathy and opens up and makes you feel like you're part of, come over here and be with us,
Yeah.
it's so powerful.
It really is. I think it's one of those most powerful forces out there.
Absolutely.
Man. Well, hey, this is again another fantastic conversation. Where could people reach out if they want to connect with you?
I am on LinkedIn under Sarah McNabb. I can be reached at smcnabb at gigastar.io. I'm sure if people reach out to you, Casey, you can put them into contact with me
Definitely.
as well. But yeah, I invite anyone who is interested to join GigaStar's Discord community. And yeah, just if you have the opportunity to make somebody feel like they are part of something, I
Yeah.
think I would just encourage everybody, to do that. I mean, we've seen how transformative it is when the creators that we list on our platform invite their communities to participate in their offerings to build something together. And we like to think of it as kind of a movement, like a community movement. So,
I
but
love
yeah,
that.
I mean, community, if there's one takeaway, community, it's not a tactic, it should be a foundation.
Boom. Man, What a way to end. Like, yeah, it should be the foundation. It's a force that cannot be reckoned with. That's fantastic. Sarah, thank you so much for coming on here and sharing. I feel like I've got a bunch of takeaways and thoughts and things I want to share with the team and some to-dos and action items. And man, I gotta get to work over here. Yeah, I gotta go catch on my LinkedIn too, make sure that's good. Yeah. So just thank you. Thank you for coming back on here.
Well, thanks again for the conversation. It was awesome to talk to you again, Casey.
100%. And for those listening, if you learned something, and I freaking know you did, because you probably have the notes like I do, then share this with someone else. Be a thought leader. One person, two people, 9,000 is cool too. But who needs to hear this? If community is the foundation, then everyone needs to hear this. So with that, Sarah, thank you again.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. This has been a crazy cool, exciting episode of the Connect to Market pod. We will see you all next time. And that wraps up another episode. Thank you for joining. For show notes and other episodes, visit us at connecttomarket.com. Connect to Market is sponsored by Ringmaster, creating podcasts and communities that create relationships, generate revenue, and drive growth.